Hello class, welcome again. We are now in Unit 2, Design Systems in Teaching and Learning and Training. This is the main content that is covered in the module. As you can see, Design Systems in Teaching, Learning and Training, the process of training, models on how adults learn, which includes experiential learning and the CAL model by Cross. We will also look at basic factors to consider in designing training programs and also instructional models based on learning theory, subsumption theory by Ausubel, and conditions of learning by Garnier. Now, when we talk of design systems, it includes instructional design systems such as the RD model. You are quite familiar with the RD model, so you shouldn't have any problems when you talk about design systems because the RD model is used to design instructional programs. You should also be able to explain the meaning of delivery systems. Now, this is how instruction is delivered to the learner. You could have group instruction, online instruction, modules, social learning networks, etc., etc. And another issue which is covered in the module is the process of training. So you should be able to describe this process, which begins with the identification of training needs, and which is followed by goals and objectives, lesson plans, media and materials, implementation and evaluation. And also, you should be able to describe the training system. In this case, we are saying that when instruction is designed and the process of training is followed, if you follow the process, you have your training system. You could have other things like infrastructure, facilitators, monitoring, evaluation, etc. All these make up the training, the process of training. When we are learning, we do have models that look at how adults learn. We are asking you to refer to andragogy principles. You also should look at problem-based learning as well as constructivism and situated learning. This should help you to look at how adults learn. And we expect that in this unit, you should be able to describe the experiential learning model and characteristics of learners. This is the CAL model. We continue by looking at how on models on how adults learn. This particular model begins with concrete experience. The learner encounters new experience or engages in a reinterpretation process of an existing experience. In other words, you come into the training already having some sort of experience. And the next one is reflective observation. In this case, you are the learner. You review and reflect on the new experience that you've just received in the class. And you identify any inconsistencies between experience and what you have understood. And we do have another part which is abstract conceptualization. This is basically that you create a new idea or concept or modifies an existing abstract concept, which is basically analyzing the concepts and forming conclusions and evaluations, generalizations, that is. And the last part is active experimentation. You plan, you try out, and to see what you have learned and to see how it works. Very good. Now we look at the CAL model by Cross, 1981. There are variables that are in this theory. Personal characteristics. We are all familiar with aging, life phases, and developmental stages. In other words, when we are designing our programs, we need to look at these personal characteristics of learners. We also have situational characteristics, and as you are familiar, you are part-time or distance learners and other things that really make that do happen. Now, when you look at learning schedules or location, right now location is no longer a problem. You can learn from wherever you are. We have basic factors to consider when designing training programs. For sure, learning needs are important. Learner characteristics, goals and objectives, methods and skills of presenting, how you present the materials, and media and materials. Media is used, but you must look at all the above because they are all important when you are doing this. This is another area that is covered in the module. It talks about advanced organizers. This is a work of David Ausubel, a psychologist who advanced a theory which contrasted meaningful learning from rote learning. In Ausubel's view, to learn meaningfully, students must relate new knowledge or concepts and proposition to what they already know. I'm sure as adult learners you're familiar with that you put what you already know and put it together with the new knowledge. He proposed the notion of advanced organizers as a way to help students link the ideas with new materials and concepts. And we continue with advanced organizers here. They could be verbal phrases like objectives, table of contents. It could be a graphic that sort of tells you what is coming next. And Ausubel talks about using advanced organizers is designed to provide what cognitive psychologists call the mental scaffolding on how to learn new information. The facilitator in this case provides guidance and more autonomy is given to the learners to solve problems or work on tasks given. And next we look at conditions of learning by Gagne. You are all familiar with these conditions of learning. We do have intellectual skills. This is what happens: discriminations, concepts, principles, and problem solving. You do have the cognitive strategy, strategies for thinking and problem solving, which is metacognition. Verbal information, facts and bodies of knowledge, attitude, choice of actions towards person, place or thing, and motor skills, skilled physical behavior. And you are familiar again with what we call events of instruction. So you can see these categories that we've just talked about, they go with the 9 events of instruction. I'm sure you recall all the 9 events of instruction by Gagne, and all of them help us to make our lesson plans, and in this case we need to take care of them when we make our presentations or lesson plans. So we've come to the end of this presentation, and I hope that you'll be able to work properly on the unit. Thank you very much.